Hi everybody and welcome back to the 3XFireGarage. On this episode, it's just going to be updates again. Things have been kind of crazy the last few weeks, so I haven't really had a lot of time to do a bunch of shooting, but it's going to be updates on the mountain mod project and kind of what I've been up to in the last couple weeks since the last video. We'll kick this episode off with updates on the build of what's going on right now. The motor, I found some more things in there digging around that I'm not overly impressed with. There's oil lines that feed to the bottom of the case where I'm assuming it feeds the water pump shaft in there. That line was all disintegrated, so I don't know how good. We might end up tear the water pump off and look at the water pump to see what kind of condition that's in. I'm hoping not to. I really don't want to stick any money into this motor until I know this is the motor I actually want to run in this chassis. But for the time being, I bought an oil delete kit, which I didn't really want to do for the mountain sled build, but yeah, you gotta do what you gotta do sometimes, and I think it's just going to be easier to delete it like I did on my oval sled, so that's the route we're gonna go on that for now. I finally got the motor mounts. Huge shout out to Powersports Plus up in Oscoda, hooked me up with the engine mounts because I don't have any of the new style engine mounts to fit in this. I just have all the old ZRT1 chassis kind of mounts, so hooked me up with that. Then I found out I'm going to have to put those riv nuts in the bulkhead because apparently I didn't realize the Thundercat used the mounts that go on top of the bulkhead versus the ones down along the bottom there where you got the screw-in style rubber isolators. Apparently I didn't realize that, so I'm going to have to figure out a way to do the rib nuts in the chassis. I can buy the rib nuts, that's not a big deal. It's just figuring out what I'm going to do to install them. I don't have a tool for it. I've asked around and I haven't had a lot of luck yet, so we'll figure that out when it gets closer, I guess. As far as the body on the mountain sled, I apparently was way off base when I said in the last video that the body was pretty much done and on. I didn't realize it was going to be quite that intensive on it. There's still a couple little odds and ends I need to finish up, but I'll show you that in the video. I got the body, we'll call it like 90% all mounted on there. I'd like to find a straight bumper for it. The bumper is, somebody pulled it out of a ditch or something with a strap and bent the front of the bumper into a V instead of being kind of rounded, so it's throwing the front of the belly pan off and it doesn't fit real well with the hood, so I'd like to come across the bumper. I did end up coming across the purple pinstripe bumper stripping, whatever you want to call it, so that was cool. I got that on, but like I said, I'd still like to find a better bumper for it, but for the time being it's just going to be what it is. I've pretty much got everything to put this sled together. I figured it out. I got to come up with a front end, the drivers, and a seat cover is pretty much all I have left to do on this sled. And I've gotten pretty much all the corks worked out of it that I'm going to do. I'm going to do the 8-tooth drivers just for the time being. I guess the 8-tooth drivers I think will fit the bigger 2.5-inch lug track later down the line, so I'd rather buy drivers once. I don't really want to gear it for 8-tooth drivers, but it is what it is, I guess. I got the bushings done for the skid, so the front of the skid is actually now mounted. I was actually working on brackets. I guess I'm going to build my own drop brackets. The mountain or the M series brackets I had, they're just not going to work. It's too far off. I'd end up cutting them up and I might as well just start from scratch. So the game plan is I'm going to just basically use the cat ones as a template to build, and then I'm just going to make a drop bracket out of these. I'll do something with the edges here, kind of clean it up, make it look decent, but I think that's going to be the best route as far as the rear drop brackets. That, and I don't think the brackets need to be dropped that far on this chassis compared to like the M chassis. I mocked it up with the brackets off the M series on this chassis, and the ass end of the sled sits all way out of whack, so I think building them is going to be my best bet on that project. So these are the mounts that a good friend of mine machined up for me to put an M style chassis or skid into an older chassis. It would be, what is it, 15 wide, I think, into a 16 wide chassis, or 16 wide into a 17 wide chassis, whatever it was. Now I don't remember off the top of my head, but I had a machine up, a spare set. I'll show you guys there in a second. I got a set on and it's in the skid. I'm waiting for bushings from Country Cat. Apparently, after we put these on, the bushings in the arm were a little sloppier than I liked, so I got a set of new bushings coming. Should be here sometime this week, I hope. And if you guys are interested in being able to put that air style shock, because you can get these skids pretty reasonably priced, and everything that I've seen so far, I've really liked. I mean, they make a great skid for projects like this. So if any of you guys are interested, I think these would still work even if you want to put that skid in a different brand like a Skidoo or a Polaris of relatively the same year. I think they're all pretty much the same width. So if you guys want the dimensions for these to do the swap, just let me know. I can go in a little more depth on the dimensions and what material I used on building these. As far as making videos, doing how-tos, I wanted to do a how-to on how to freeze off a primary clutch. That's the preferred way I like to do it, but the weather isn't cooperating with us outside. We had cold weather up until, I don't know, yesterday, and now we're in the upper 30s, so the trick doesn't work that good. But I do plan on in the future, when the weather cooperates with me, to show you guys a video of a couple different ways to get the clutches off the primary. There's a few different tricks that I like to use, and like I said, I like to use the freeze method the best. I mean, if you got the time and you're not in a hurry, and even if you are in a kind of hurry, if it's cold outside, I've seen them pop in 15 minutes of sitting outside. So I would like to do a video on that here coming up in the next few weeks, but it's just been kind of crazy. Snowmobile's race season is falling apart in front of our eyes. We don't know if we're going to be able to run. It looks like Eagle River right now is about the only thing that's a for sure thing, which I won't be racing this season. Just not enough ice time on the sled to go all the way out there for that. But I did get new trailer tires. Finally got them put on. That's took some time there. Cleaned up the wheels and whatnot. And the trailer is all ready to go for race season. I ain't much left. I mean, I got some wiring to deal with on the lights like every trailer I own. But it should be pretty much ready to go at this point if we ever get race season. But right now it ain't looking all that great. As you can tell, things are getting kind of packed in here. Winter's finally here, I guess, and people are starting to bring their stuff over to get work done. Yeah, I got a customer ZL in here right now, just doing car boots and basic maintenance for the most part on that. So I'm hoping to get that out of here soon so that I can get some room back in here. But as far as this goes, this I think is going to be roughly the ride height of the sled. It might be a little bit higher in the rear, but I think it's going to be fairly close to this. Like I was saying, I did get the body. It's permanently on right now. The best that's going to be. Ended up having to build some brackets in the back here. I'll show you. So here's the brackets that I built. They weren't exactly the way I wanted to do it, but it worked out well enough. I just took some angle iron and the old stock bumper mounts and just kind of riveted them in there to hold the backs of the bumper. But as far as fitment wise, everything's pretty much where it's got to be for good now. I got the whole column. I still got to do a little bit of sanding in here and clean that up some, but I got pretty much the tank fitted to the stock location. The console plastics mounted up. Both sides are done. In the front I got a little bit creative. They didn't really fit very well down along these bottoms here, so I ended up having some old plastic laying around, and I heat formed it the best I could around the front of it. I still got to make some inside filler panels for that front there. I think I'm just going to take a piece of plastic and lay it up in there and just rivet it down along that edge there. I think that'll be good enough. And honestly, once you cover this all with heat tape, you won't even notice it. I thought about trimming this out some, but I kind of like the way it looks without it trimmed. I'm going to drill out the hole for the upper mounts to the bulkhead and cut it big enough so it doesn't interfere with the A-arm bolts. But I'm pretty happy with how that actually turned out, the whole front clip on it. I got the plastic belly pan all trimmed up to fit. That'll end up going on here once I figure out the whole motor situation. But for now, I got that all fitted up. And yeah, that's that purple trim stuff that I was telling you guys about. I'm pretty excited though. It looks pretty good for being two different generation chassis. It doesn't fit all that bad. I think I pretty much got the biggest snow areas that could get sucked into the engine bay pretty much taken care of, so I don't think that's going to be much of a problem. But this is what I was talking about with the bumper. The bumper, they pulled it and it's kind of whomps this out. This needs to be kind of more flat across, and for the time being, if I have to, I'll pack her full of Gorilla Tape until I find a bumper for it. But it's on, it's mounted. I don't think it looks all that bad. As for the rear skid, like I said, I pretty much have it mocked up where I want it to be. The front is actually bolted in to the stock location. I'm hoping I can use that. I got to stick the driver I have in here for mock-up in, but I'm hoping I'm going to stick the track in the next few days, maybe after Christmas, and see if I can use those front mounts. If I can, that'll be great. Then I'll just get my measurements and build my new drop brackets back here. I'd like to be about an inch, maybe an inch and a half below the running boards in the back. I don't really want to go crazy with it. I kind of like the stance that it has right now. As long as I can get the skid set up right. Right now it's kind of a little high in the tunnel. I may end up having to use some of them holes that are lower here and that are already in the bulkhead. It seems like it's going to have a lot of ski pressure just sitting on the table. So we're going to look at that once we get the track in and see where the bolt holes are actually going to line up. As far as the front bushings, you probably can't tell, but so maybe we can get a better view on the side here. Yeah, you can kind of tell there. Basically, they just act like big shims to shim them inside the older, wider tunnel. Like I said, if you guys are interested in any information about that, just let me know and I can put it in a video or send it to you directly, whatever works best for you. But that's pretty much the way it is. I'm pretty happy with the body. The body's fits pretty good. All I got really left to do is, like I said, them plastic panels, and I got to rivet them on the bottom down here, but that's not a big deal. And the handlebars, I still got to figure out what I'm going to do with that. I do have this old block that the same buddy that machined the bushings machined up for me, but it's just super heavy on the steering column. So we talked about maybe machining some more weight out of that lift block or that riser block so I can get rid of the double stacked crap that's going on right now. But as far as the project goes, next I kind of want to start putting the jack shaft. I did get the chain case all mounted up, the chain case, and I did get the bracket for the rear motor mount / chain case mount. I did get those put in, so I kind of want to just get the jack shaft and new bearings figured out and get the drivers on their way. And yeah, this thing's pretty much ready to go together once I get a few little odds and ends figured out. If anybody has a lead on a later mountain cat front end, it'd be cool. Comment or send a message directly. We'll figure something out, but I'm still trying to find a mountain cat front suspension, I guess, for this. Probably like a 03 or newer, either like out of a 900 King Cat or something along the lines of that. But yeah, if you guys have any leads on that for a reasonable price, let me know. And that's going to be a wrap for this week's or month's episode. I'm sorry I don't have a lot more going on with it right now. Like I said, I had a few how-to things to do, but it just didn't cooperate with me. And everything I did on there wasn't really much to film. Like doing the plastic around the shock towers, there wasn't a whole lot going on there. You just cut it and heat it and bend it in there. I mean, it was just something to keep the snow out of the hole from where the front of the bulkhead on the ZRT1 and the ZRT2 are different. Nothing major there. Like I said, I haven't really had a lot of time to work on it. I got the bushings and stuff. I'm pretty excited about that. The race trailer took quite a bit of time getting that thing ready to go. So usually I shoot on the weekends, and I haven't really had time on the weekends to do any shooting. So that's that for this week, I guess. I want to thank all you guys that have reached out in support of the channel and whatnot. That's been awesome. Just remember to like, subscribe, and comment on the channel. it helps, you know, with the algorithm and whatnot to get some more views on the channel. That'd be great. And with all that said, I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas. This will probably be my Christmas episode, I guess you could say. Kind of a boring Christmas episode. Sorry, is what it is. So everybody have a Merry Christmas, and I will look forward to making a video here probably in the next week or two. The 640 is actually ready to go together. That's one thing I completely forgot about in this video, was the crank is finally back and it is ready to go together. So I'm hoping maybe the first part of next week before the New Year's I'll be able to get that back together and maybe get some videos of it running, or at least get it assembled and figure out the few little odds and ends I'm going to have to do to get everything done right, because I still got to do an airbox mod and whatnot on it to get them 38 rack carbs I'm going to put on it and to fit into the snopro airbox. But I'm pretty excited, looking forward to getting that done, and when that gets done, the Mountain Cat sled should probably take off a little bit better. I'll have a little more time and funds for this project. I'm kind of split between the two projects right now, so I'd like to get one running while we do have snow. So I wish everybody a Merry Christmas and have a good weekend.